What did that kid in your school do that will never leave your mind? Part 2. There was a kid who carried knives around in his backpack and was accused of raping a girl in his car at a park that isn't too far away from where I live. He was charged and got out on bail but was expelled. He got a job at a store also near my neighborhood and was caught for retail theft. Apparently, his mom would come in and he would skip scanning some stuff. He had just moved to our school that year, and every girl had a crush on him until this happened. I'm not one to jump to bad parenting, but seems like if his mom was okay with him stealing, she probably didn't do much at all to address the rest of his bad behaviors. Attacked a dude with a sword and cut the guy's hand in half through the palm. While you studied English, he studied the blade. What seemed to be his mother used to come in and spoon-feed him in the middle of the yard while all the other kids played, but many watched. Some were mean and said stuff. He was a completely able-bodied kid of about 9 or 10 years of age. You could see it in his eyes that it was killing him and that the whole thing was about her. Of all the weird things in this thread, this one hit me the hardest. One messed up mom screwing up the kid's life forever. This seems like the tip of the iceberg. There was this kid at my school who would come into the boys' washroom and literally take a dump in the urinal. One time I walked in on the kid squatting over the urinal, and he immediately got up, washed his hands, and said, "Dude, look, someone pooped in that urinal." He then walked out. I feel so bad for the janitor. I feel like there was a poop in the urinals kid at every elementary school. I still laugh when I remember the occasional reminders from our principal during the morning announcements. Remember, boys, the urinals are only for number 1s, not number 2s. A girl I went to high school with who seemed sweet, quiet, and friendly. She was perfectly normal. She turned out to be a huge mess. One day, a few years later, she beat her 5-year-old stepdaughter to death for not cleaning her room. These 2 guys I went to high school with seemed relatively normal from what I remember. I didn't exactly hang out with them, but we knew each other. Fast forward about 3 years, and they beat the life out of a kid at some party. They thought they killed him, so they took the body out to the woods and burned him. Alive, it turns out. One day in 5th grade, a kid's mom brought cupcakes and ice cream for the class, and we went outside for recess to eat them. The overweight kid, who I always tried to be nice to because I'm pretty sure she had bad parents, ate too many of these cupcakes and threw up on the playground. But she proceeded to tell everyone she was fine and was all right to go play some more. Not even 5 minutes later, I'm standing by the door to the entrance to the school, and I smell the most horrible smell and look over, and, of course, it's the same kid standing next to me. She got real close and whispered to me, "I just pooped my pants." She told everyone who walked by before then that, until the teacher called her mom to pick her up. Weirdest moment of my life because I'm not sure why she would tell everyone that. Are you sure it wasn't Chris Farley? Girl would put a piece of bread in her mouth and proceed to roll the wet, soggy bread mass into a ball. She would then take the ball out and look at it, and then put it back in her mouth over and over again. She obviously wasn't ready to eat it yet. That kid in our German class was arguing with the teacher about how he doesn't want to study anymore. Didn't hear the whole conversation, but one brilliant quote I heard loosely translates to, "I am a god. I can delete you." We were 14 at the time. Did you meet a young Matt Hardy or something? This kid used to drink cups of ranch dressing at lunch, and nothing else. He would have 15 to 20 of those little ketchup cups loaded on his tray, and he'd start slurping it down. Pretty sure he had some kind of mental disability, so I don't want to rag on him too hard, but just watching him do that every day turned me off of ranch for a few years. Alternative theory, he was hungry and his parents wouldn't give him money for lunch, so he went with the most caloric item on the condiments table. This guy would just combine all of his food at lunch, including the drink, into a weird soup and eat it like that, no matter what we were eating. Maybe he had bad teeth or extensive cavities? My high school had a kid that did this, but it was to soften everything up because he had cavities so bad, chewing anything was painful for him, and his parents refused to get him to a dentist. One guy threw the Wi-Fi router in the library into a wall and broke it. We got a better one after that though, so we all called him Wi-Fi Jesus. Your school had Wi-Fi? I feel old now. He walked around in black extra wide GNCO bondage pants with a ripped up fishnet shirt and a black wife beater, cat ears, and a hot pink cat collar that his girlfriend attached a leash to and led him around with in the hallway. He also had black emo hair and wore lots of eyeliner. That dude was living his life with his pet play submissive fantasy. Of course, everyone teased the heck out of him for it, but he did not care. You do you, emo cat boy. The guy lived a submissive fantasy. He was probably enjoying everyone's teasing. 4D chess. In high school, this kid was obsessed with the band Kiss. He would somehow suck on his gums or something and make his mouth bleed, so he could spit out blood and stick his tongue out. Not really sure what happened to that kid and his talent. Hey, I knew a kid who was obsessed with Kiss. He even had a long tongue like Gene Simmons. He was really creepy too. We had one kid who edited the slides to a song we had to sing during our weekly school assembly. The song was Winter Wonderland, and he edited the last line in the chorus to say, "Walking in a winter land." They cut the music as soon as they saw that slide containing that lyric. It was not really that funny, I'd say, but I had to give the guy credit for having the balls to do that. Someone in my high school changed a person's last name to bitch, and they didn't notice until after it was published and yearbooks were distributed. They did a recall and taped her correct last name over it in every yearbook. The girl was a champ, though. She even changed her last name on Facebook to bitch. We were in 4th grade. This girl who was really quiet would eat from trash and go from table to table looking for food left. She was kind of fat. I was in the same bus route as her. She lived in a beautiful historic house and they weren't poor. We met again in high school. I just said hi to her and wished her a good school year. Later, the principal calls me to our office because this girl has said I was bullying her. I was so shocked. I had never been mean and was pretty naive, so my principal believed me. After this, that girl would look at me as if I was prey to be cautious about. I went to elementary school with a girl that would try to get people in trouble all the time. She was shy and kind of quiet, so my friends and I tried to befriend her. A few days later, and we got called into the office because she said we were hitting her. She got another one of my friends put on house arrest that summer because she told her mom, my friend, who was like 10 or 11 at the time, was threatening her life, and her mom called the cops. Her mom seemed to perpetuate a lot of it too. It was sad. My freshman year of high school, this dude showed up in a cape every single day. He then convinced a bunch of other freshmen to lay in different positions in the courtyard during lunch one day, and their bodies ended up making a giant swastika. My school had a cape kid too. He also claimed to have a medical condition, so he could wear his sunglasses inside all the time. Dude, we're in 3rd period Earth Science, not the Matrix. I saw this fight right after school where this guy knocked the dude clean out, then took a giant dump on his chest. I'll never forget that. How does one poop on command like that? I usually poo once, at the same time, every day. There was this kid who liked to eat paper. So one day in the new term, he asked the new Asian boy for some paper. The Asian boy, in a full Asian accent, ripped out 3 pages from his notebook and said, "Here is breakfast, lunch, and dinner." I have a friend who is a small Korean boy. He likes eating paper and often does it in math class with me as a joke. He's a hilarious person and really nice. The worst thing he's ever done is hand me a note that said, "Gru's nose would be great for 69ing. He's also going to be deported to South Korea if he can't renew his visa soon. I remember being on the swings in primary school, and there was another kid that was upset that all the swings were taken, so he tried to forcibly remove another kid. The teachers told him not to bother other kids, and so he stood next to the swings, crying loudly, waiting for some time to get off. When I looked at him, he was crying so much his nose was running, but it looked like someone squeezing out a tube of toothpaste. It was the grossest thing I've ever seen. I was in a toilet stall in elementary school trying to poop, and I got stage fright and hated when someone was in the bathroom. A dude was in a stall right next to me, so I waited. He flushed, washed his hands, then I heard the door open and shut. It was quiet. I proceeded to poop, feeling great. When I was done, that kid was just standing there by the door. He up and pretended to leave, just to hear me poop. Once in 7th grade, I went into a bathroom with the intention to poop, and this guy that I didn't really like and his friend were in there talking. When I went into the stall, I had the biggest premonition that he was going to try to look over the stall at me for some reason, and I really didn't want him to see my penis. I decided to sit down without pulling down my pants, and sure enough, 20 seconds later, he jumped onto the divider to watch me, but then he got weirded out since I was just sitting there with my pants up staring at him. My school gave out pencils with $100 bill designs in it because hard work pays. A friend of mine tore the design off, rolled it up, approached a girl he sorta knew, and asked her for a lap dance. She told the teacher and he was suspended for a week. We were in 6th grade. In 6th grade, a boy showed me a condom on a bus and said, "I got this for us." When I was in high school, I had a classmate that had a rough home life, to say the least. As a result, he was a bit odd. He was into Lord of the Rings, but to an unhealthy extent. He learned to speak Elvish, crawled around, and acted like Gollum, and tried to alter his own ears to be pointy. He asked me to prom because I looked like Legolas. He got beat up a few times for being so strange, which still bothers me a decade later. He sounds like an interesting fella. I love how some people have their own thing and are so passionate about it. This concept of social norms and the fact people bully others because they are different is just wrong. And it's the reason why I hate some people. Our definition of normal is not everyone else's. Sorry for the rant.